So, as the name says, I was born in Finland, 1920. Finland is in Northern Europe, a small poor country between Scandinavia and Soviet Union. At that time, when I was a young kid, we were living very, very conservative times in my country. And in my family, I was never sort of let openly know anything or talk anything. We were protected very much, like still today many young people are here in America, for instance. But anyways, I had erotic fantasies very early already. I would say before I was 10 years old, so I had fantasies, and they were fantasies of erotic fantasies of grown-up men. I adored very much the handsome men in my neighborhood, and I had a very strong fetish for some reason for leather and boots and all what was sort of combined with the masculine professions and image. And that early experience or feeling is still today in my works. It has followed all these years through in my drawings. I mean, it has come, so to say, from born, and I seem never get really rid of that, even I want it, but it excites me still very much. So that is one part, typical part of my production. And the other thing which came a bit later was my fetish for uniforms, and that was during the wartime actually, because I was, as a young man in the Second World War, fighting or serving my country, and those years were the years in my life which I was learning, I was experiencing very strongly, and I think that made all those guys in uniforms in German army, and then later after the war, when the Russian army came to Finland with them, that made a very strong expression in me, and again they follow in my fantasies, in my drawings again and again, still today. And I only have some problems with that. People who see my drawings very often, they misunderstand it, because to me it's just a fetish of a uniform and leather and so on. But very many other people, they want to see there's something political, and I never want to have anything to do with the political things, I mean anywhere and on any level. So I had now and then had some problems, some troubles in Europe, for instance, in some countries which see something more in my art, what is really put there. I mean, everybody has their own fantasies and own ways to see what is illustrated there. But going back to the beginning, when I started drawing, and it was also very early, the first tries were already in the age of 6 or 7, but I seriously tried working or doing something when I was a teenager. So I got my inspiration to my fantasies from any kind of photos in newspapers, magazines and so on. And I saw them in my way, and I wanted to change them in my way. I wanted to put my erotic fantasies in those pictures. And that made me copy those photos, or part of those photos, and go combining my fantasies. And I did it with pencil, because pencil is the simplest media to start with. And because with pencil I could make it look more or less like a photograph, like a photograph. So I started training that and doing that way, and it became my main media still. So still today I work basically about 90% of my works, they are still on pencil. Then many years later I had done this for my own fun and done my own fantasies, but not showing to anybody. But in 50s, one publisher here in LA, AMG, Bob Miser, who still publishes the magazine Physics Pictorial, he got interested in my drawings and wanted to publish them here. And so from that on I worked about 10 years beside my profession, which was I was working in an advertising agency as an artist, but beside that in my private section I worked for his magazine. So I made more than 100, maybe 130 drawings for him and for his magazine. And that time when they started, you know, all the things were different from today. For instance, you couldn't show any frontal nudes, you couldn't show any sexual action really, it was very hidden, just hints of things. So that time Physics Pictorial mainly showed athletes, great bodies, as the name says. And when I saw those first magazines, so they inspired me again very much in the direction of muscles and the great bodies, which became also one of my typical ways of showing the male types as I made them. So anyways, I start now showing you some of those pictures, which were the first one, which was published there in 1957. But this was very typical way how to express the erotism that time, and you couldn't show any hard-ons or any naked bodies, no real contact, but some sort of eye contact, some hint, some idea what might happen next, which in a way led me very much to the way which I have still doing today, and that is that you don't necessarily need to show an action, I mean sexual action, to express the erotic thing to happen, but you can also express it in contact between two people, how they react. And therefore I tried, especially later, I have some other examples here, try to learn to give the person's faces an expression so they could tell without words what they were feeling and what they wanted to do and so on. And the situations were like illustrations to something what was just happening now, what could continue from that on, to leave the fantasy open to the viewer. But then I started, as I told before, I started concentrating more to try to express, not so much in action, but in gestures, in faces, and in a contact, personal eye contact and so on. The same thing, which I had done quite a long while, and I have quite a lot of examples from that. I mean, I always wanted to show or express the erotic things there, but I wanted to try to make it the way that it's not the easiest and simplest way, but it's just in small things told the same.